Hey, this is Rob Minton and welcome back to another Cash Runner video. In this video, I want to share a simple formula that you can use to retire several years early. And depending on your situation, you might be able to retire right now, or you might be able to retire in a few years. The crazy part about this formula is that I went to school for accounting, which meant I took several accounting classes, even advanced accounting classes. I took finance classes. When I graduated from college, I then went to work in the corporate accounting world. I worked 5 years in the accounting world. During that time, I took the CPA exam, which required a massive amount of studying. I went to all this prep coursework, and throughout all this time, I never learned this formula. Then I left accounting to get into real estate. I was investing in real estate. I was helping other people invest in real estate, and I read every single investing book I could get my hands on, and I never learned this simple formula. I actually stumbled on this formula after the market crash of 2008, when the value of my assets plummeted and everything I was working towards kind of just evaporated very quickly. So this formula is really important because it places your time as your main valuable asset. It makes time your most precious resource. It honors your time. And this is important because most people value money over time. And if you lose your money, it's somewhat easy to replace that money. The problem is, if you lose your time, that time is gone forever. So time is more valuable than money. And this formula allows you to really honor your time and the value that it has in your life. The formula is rather simple. There are 3 variables. And this is important because there are 3 variables and you can manipulate these different variables in different ways to get different results. So the formula is assets times your return on investment must be equal to or greater than your expenses. So you have 3 variables: assets, return on investment, expenses. Now, the traditional retirement plan we have been taught to follow focuses on the asset column, right? You got to work and save and work and save and work and save. You got to build your asset column up in your retirement fund so that at some point down the road, you'll have enough assets saved that you can retire, sell off your assets using the 4% rule to then fund your living expenses in retirement. With some simple math, if you use the 4% rule, and let's say you want to have an annual income in retirement of $100,000, you take $100,000 divided by 4%, and that tells you that you need to have $2.5 million saved in your asset column. So the question is how long do you have to work to build up your asset column to that level? How many years of 40, 50-hour weeks do you have to sacrifice to have 2.5 million in your retirement savings account? And in my personal opinion, this plan is risky on 2 levels. The first level is, how do you know you have enough money saved in your retirement account to fund all of your future expenses? What happens if the market crashes and the value of your assets in retirement falls, and now when you go to sell off your assets, you have less money available? And then the second risk that we face in retirement, if we follow this plan, is the medical risk, our health. Retirement is this supposedly golden years where we're finally able to do all of the things that we've wanted to do, but we just didn't have time. We can golf, we can travel, we can scuba dive, we can do everything we've held off on doing because we just couldn't make time for it. Well, what happens if you have health conditions that hold you back from enjoying all those things when you finally are able to retire? Or maybe you've probably have someone in your life that they retire and then they pass away within a short period of time. So this person worked for 30 or 40 years, made this massive sacrifice, and never got to experience the fruits of that labor. Now, when someone really starts to think about this retirement plan, they come to the conclusion that there's far too much risk, right? There's investment risk and there's time risk. They say, you know what, I don't want to play that game. What usually happens is they then focus on manipulating that third variable, which is their expenses. And they end up going down the FIRE movement path. And the FIRE movement is basically take all of your expenses down to the bare minimum, use every extra penny you have to buy assets so that you can then use the traditional retirement plan. But the FIRE movement then requires you to cut your utility expenses. So in the summer, you're not running your air conditioning. In the winter, you're not putting your furnace on. You've got sweatshirts and coats in your home. You're having ramen noodles. You are drinking boxed wine. When you go on vacation, you're camping. You don't have a car. You ride your bike everywhere. You're basically living in a van down by the river.
And I live in a van down by the river.
Now, for some people, they love that challenge. They love figuring out how to reduce their expenses. And man, I applaud those people. I am not one of those people. I want to be able to kind of enjoy life, right? If I want to go on a nice vacation, I want to be able to go on a nice vacation. If we want to go out to dinner, I want to go out to dinner. I don't like living this frugal life. that leads us to focusing on that second variable, return on investment. So when you focus on your return on investment, you now have the ability to completely change the game when it comes to retiring. And so let's go back to that example where we said that you wanted to have $100,000 of annual income in retirement. And let's say that you are able to earn 24% annually on your investments. So you take $100,000 divided by 24% and you'll come up with around $420,000. So if you have $420,000 saved in your retirement account, you can retire if you are earning 24% annually. Obviously, several ifs in that statement. But the important point I'm hoping that you see is that focusing on your return on investment offers you far more benefits than building your asset column or cutting your living expenses. To increase your return on investment, there are 3 strategies. The first one is that you really work hard to leverage every single asset that you have, meaning you try to extract maximum cash flow from every single asset you own. That's number one way that you can increase your return on investment. The second way is you can use the velocity of money, where you layer income producing assets on top of each other. So I have another video about this, but I'll highlight it for you right here. Is you buy an asset that pays you income, you use this income to buy another asset that pays you, use the income from that second asset to buy a third asset. So you're stacking these income producing assets. So let's say asset number 1 pays you 10%, asset number 2 pays you 10%, and asset number 3 pays you 10%. That combination of those 3 assets stacked on top of each other gets you to a 30% annual return. So stacking assets is the second way that you can increase your return on investment. The third way to increase your return on investments is to focus primarily on investments that pay you very attractive income every single month. And for me, the 2 investments that have been the most profitable for me have been manufactured homes, rental properties. In many cases, my return on investment is 25-30% on those investments. And the second way is to invest in the stock market, stocks and ETFs that pay you very attractive monthly dividends. And in my new book, Multi-Millionaire Kids, I outline a very simple investing system that you can use in the stock market to earn 24% annually. I know this doesn't seem like it would be possible, but within the last year or so, there have been several new ETFs that pay very, very attractive dividends. So my book was initially written to help parents set their kids up for financial success, but this book includes a powerful plan that anyone can use starting today to earn 24% annually in the stock market. So the point of this video is to help you understand this simple time freedom formula, right? Assets times return on investment must be equal to or greater than your expenses. And you can manipulate all 3 of those variables. So take some time and think about this, right? Is it easier to build your asset column? Is it easier to cut your expenses? Is it easier to learn how to increase your return on investment? Could you do all 3 at the same time? This is your life, right? You get to make those decisions. So my hope is that this video will help you honor your time, retire several years early without having to live in a van down by the river. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.